Temu doesn't seem to be playing a fair game. Their marketing budget is through the roof, their prices are through the floor, and online sellers in South Africa are left wondering, what can we do in order to compete against this retail giant from China? And that's a good question to be asking yourself, because if you're selling online and you're seeing your sales going down, well, there are some things that you need to be doing. And in this video, I'm going to share my 5 top tips on exactly what you should do now, because the game has changed and we need to change our approach to the game of selling online in order to have success in the long term. And thankfully, this is still entirely possible, even with this increased competition. And competition, it's not going away anytime soon. But we have to adapt and change and pivot and do the things that we need to do. And in this video, I'm going to share my 5 things that you should be doing in your business now to make sure that you keep getting sales and have a sustainable, profitable business. So first up, my first tip is to build a strong brand identity. Why is this? Because people need to choose to shop with your store instead of just going to anybody else like Temu. This morning, I bought a belt and I did it from Freedom of Movement's website. Why did I do that? Because I could buy a belt anywhere else, but I really like the brand. I didn't even price check. I probably could have got a belt cheaper elsewhere. In fact, I certainly could have, but I like their brand. I didn't shop around. I went and I bought from Freedom of Movement. This is not a plug for them. I just like their brand and I shopped with them because of that. If you build a brand, your customers can choose to shop with you because they like your brand as well. Speaking about branding and staying on this first tip still, something that I'm encouraging my next level students to do is to heavily investigate white labeling and private labeling, so that you're not just selling the same stuff as everybody else, but rather having your own brand, which people can learn to know and like and trust. And that's how you can do it, through private labeling and white labeling. So that's something that I'm teaching people how to do right now. Moving on to tip number 2, and this is a combination tip, because within 2, I want to say, focus on a niche market, provide exceptional customer support, and focus on product expertise and value-added services. You know, this is about not just selling the same stuff that everybody else is selling, that Temu's selling for that matter, but rather focusing on a niche of products, a niche of customers that you can serve. And you can do that through exceptional customer support and product expertise, so that customers know to come to you and your store rather than just shopping and browsing the internet to try and find who's got the lowest price. That's not a fun game. And right now it's not a good game to play at. But also to take it one step further and offer value-adding services that big retail giants from around the world, they can't compete against, like custom-built bundles or long extended warranties, or servicing a product before sending it out, customizing it, having somebody's name engraved on a product, anything like this. Something that wouldn't be possible from a big retail giant. You can do this, and this could be your competitive advantage and the reason that people would choose to shop with you instead of with somebody else. Tip number 3 is to focus on your own site. Yes, build your own store, but also at the same time, focus on having success on marketplaces. Takealot, Amazon, Bobshop, and all the other marketplaces where your products are likely to fit in and where your customers might be hanging out. Now, I do suggest and strongly advise having both your online store as well as marketplaces, because this gives you a situation where your online store, you make more money and more profitability with less fees, and you can capture customers' details for long-term engagements. And also having the marketplaces where you have instant access to millions of customers that are visiting that site already. So that's tip number 3. And before I go on with tip 4 and 5, just want to quickly break to say, everything I'm talking to you about in this video, this is what you have to do in order to sustain your business in the long term with this changed environment. If you'd like to learn how to do these things, then we do have our premium next level program here at Insaka. The link is below inside the notes around this video. Go and check it out, because everything I'm talking about here inside this video and so much more is covered inside the e-commerce next level premium program. It is the training for South African online sellers, and this includes training on everything that I'm talking about in this video and so much more by all of South Africa's top e-commerce experts. Moving on to tip number 4. Number 4 is build your database as well as your community. Building your customer database. Earlier, I mentioned that when you get sales through your own website, you get customers' details, you get their email address, and you can speak to them long into the future. Building a community gives people multiple touch points where they can follow your brand, engage with you, ask you questions, build that trust, learn to like your brand and you, and that's why they would choose to shop with you and support you long into the future. When it comes to email database building, I've said it many times before, but I can tell the future growth of your e-commerce business by the current growth of your email database list. If your database list is not growing today, then how could you have a sustainable business in the future? This is an important factor in your online selling business, and it's now more important than ever before. So do not skip over this one. Final tip number 5 is get better at closing. Let's close more sales. Have you had that experience where you do all the legwork of explaining to a customer which product is perfect for them, and you are so certain that this customer is going to buy from you, but then a couple of days later you follow up just to find that they shopped with somebody else because it was a little bit cheaper? That should not be happening these days. You need to be closing. You need to be using every single tool in your digital belt to be able to close more sales. There are plugins and tools and FOMO plugins and urgency plugins and apps on Shopify which can encourage users to get off the fence and make their decision now. And that could be a countdown timer, an expiring bonus. It could be a FOMO created by Low Stock saying that there's only one left available. You guys have seen these apps and plugins on other people's sites. You should be using it yourself. Do not let your customers sit in the position where they are thinking about it and shopping around and checking other websites, possibly Temu, where you're never going to compete on price. You need to get better at closing. And all of this training and so much more is part of the e-commerce next level training program. So those are my 5 tips for you today. If you'd like to learn more, click that link below. We have training on everything. This is what you've got to do. If you want to learn how to do it, then click that link, check out e-commerce next level, and come and join us. Learn more about how to build a successful and sustainably successful business here online in South Africa.